This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Very early in the war, the threat of the German magnetic mine had to be quickly mastered to prevent complete closure of many of Britain's main ports and bases.
The Admiralty needs a large number of fishermen, especially enginemen and stokers, to form the crews of additional mine-sweeping and anti-submarine vessels.
I am the National Secretary of the Royal Naval Patrol Service Association, which consisted of personnel who served in the patrol service, which consisted with minesweeping, armed trawlers and small vessels.
Well, I'm Charles Alfred Harris, and before the war I went to sea in 1935 as a local herring fisherman, and in them days we went away in March, and if we were fortunate we came home in September. In September '39, the herring fleet, as we came home from Scotland and that, which getting ready to go down the home fishing, we were all not allowed to go to sea anymore. We got the ships ready to go to sea with all the nets and everything aboard, but then they stopped us going out. But then the Navy came along and gradually conscripted, or what you call it, took charge of the ships, and they took most of the ships out of it. They took the ship I was in, so we had to get all the fishing gear off, and them ships went into the Navy then to be minesweepers or patrol service ships. If you came out of the fishing, I mean, they took a lot of the, well, most of the fishermen, a lot of fishermen were R&R, which were called up in 1939. My brother was one of them. And they took the fishermen, and then the fishermen manned the ships, because the lads who they started to call up then, or volunteered, perhaps from the Midlands and everywhere else, had never seen the sea before, had to be learnt the trade. So they had like to have so many fishermen in each ship, on the deck and that sort of thing, and they learnt the other lads what the routine was and that sort of thing. And believe me, the lads learnt well, and over the period of nearly 6 years, they were each as good as anybody else aboard the ships, I can show you that.
John Street, I'm the National Chairman of the Royal Naval Patrol Service Association. Went away and did the initial training as a stoker. I came back, Lowestoft being the central depot, the headquarters. Came back here and went off to a ship, MMS 175, down at Queenborough, Stoker 2. Over 66,000 of us went through Europa all over the world. You came here ostensibly either for training, further training, or have medical checks and then a draft to another vessel. Well, you remember the first one for the ship MS 175, just the thump. And looking out, see this great fountain of water going up, and of course the lads started cheering then. When you explode a mine, you say the ship has paid for itself.
You had three types of mines. You had the moored mine, you had the magnetic mine, and the acoustic mine. The moored mine is this ship up here. I'd show you. She's hauling her gear, and you had a long sweep out behind you, a wire sweep, and consequently, as the knife would cut the wire, and up come the mine on the top of the surface. But with the magnetic mine, you took a long sweep behind you, which pulsed the electrodes toward the stern. Now the acoustic mines, they were mines what were laid. When a ship went across them, the pulse of the engine would set them off. So you had what they call a hammer in the front on you. If you look at that model of that trawler there, you'll see she got what we called an A-frame, which went right down into the water over the bows of the ship, or over the side, tied along the side on you. They done a noise like a riveting hammer, brr, 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 and they blew the mine up in front on you.
All the men engaged on these duties have been carrying out most dangerous tasks, but none more hazardous than those aboard our mine sweepers.
Well, of course, after the war, when the war finished, a certain amount of the ships which were in good enough condition, they were decommissioned and sold back to their owners, and then they were transferred back into fishing craft again. So that's how Lowestoft then began to pick up again with the herring and the trawling business.